How will a 17 or an 18-year-old kid survive abroad?
Each and every student is not mandatory that for you that you go abroad and study only.
When they are thinking of taking admission in a university abroad, what are all the parameters they should know?
Select the university which is listed in World Health Organization.
Does the bank support you throughout the education?
So it depends on which university you are going.
A student who is basically taking a bank loan because he or she cannot afford the complete fees, should he take that bank loan or should they take a drop?
Student knows it. I passed, I have to move ahead. If you have failed, okay, you have no option other than that.
What is your review about China?
The biggest barrier was there the
In 2024, 79% of FMGs failed the FMG exam. Does this signal that the academic quality in the universities abroad is not up to that challenge? We are building India's largest community of medicos. And thanks to all of you, we have reached the milestone of 50,000 subscribers. And I cannot be more thankful to each one of you for making this show a success. Again, thanks a lot from my heart. So today we have a very special episode. This episode will answer each and every query a young medical enthusiast has in its heart. What if I go abroad for MBBS? What are the conditions? Is racism there in foreign countries? Will I be able to adjust? Will the institute or the college provide me with quality education? And what are the most affordable countries to do MBBS abroad in? The special guest that I'm talking about is Dr. Chirag Waghela. He is the CEO of Atmiya Education and has sent thousands of students abroad for doing MBBS successfully. He has been recognized in Times of India and Forbes, and we have talked about all the positives and negatives, especially the negatives of doing MBBS abroad. Negatives about each and every country that students normally go to, which agents do not normally talk about. We have a specialist to guide you through each and every step of that journey. Be aware, take the right decision, and learn more about MBBS abroad from the expert himself. Let's welcome Dr. Chirag Waghela. Welcome, Dr. Chirag, to the Nachiket Bhatia show.
Thank you, Dr. Nachiket, for inviting here. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Sir, we have invited you for the sole reason, post-NEET UG 2025, lots of students have this question in their mind, should I study in a private college in India or should I go abroad? And if I have to go abroad, there are so many countries, so many agencies offering the courses there and so many scams that those are happening. Of course, a parent has this mindset that should I send a 17 or 18-year-old kid abroad? It's a big decision. There's going to be change in culture, there's going to be change in environment, the ecosystem, everything is going to be new. And does the son or daughter, will he or she be able to adapt to the new system? So these are the questions that we are going to cover in this podcast. But before we get into that, I would request you, tell us the journey of Dr. Chirag Waghela. How did you start? How did you get into this industry that you're working in? And what's the future for like Dr. Chirag?
Basically, I am the second generation in the education field. My father already was a professor. He was already having a well-time established education institutions and everything. Now we were facing the challenge for our own students, which you will also very well understand, sir. The students who have studied under us from their kindergarten to their all the grades. Now the challenges came for their especially medical education. They were having n number of options and everything, but always a student will come and ask us at what is the field to be selected. So I was looking at this, that most of our professors and teachers were facing this concern or the question, because a student and parent always follows more than anyone is his professor or a teacher, or we call this them as their mentor. So then we explored all the options, and then we decided, okay, this is the field where it requires, we need to do something. And that's where I started. Then I started my career selecting the finest medical universities. We sat with those universities and we told, hey, we would be working with you on only on one condition: there has to be no agents with you. If my institution is working with you, you will be omitting the agents, you will be omitting all the third parties. Then we set up all the resources and everything, whatever a kid or a parent will know. want, that my child's safety is first. Because whenever you send abroad, it's a joint culture where boy and girl stays together, which completely against, you will not like that. So we set up completely separate hostels for boys, girls, and everything. We took care of their meals. Then we selected the infrastructure, good professors, good quality of education. And after years, we saw that excellent results. Our kids got up to 89% passing results in the examinations and everywhere where the national passing results were low. That's how the Atmi education started, and that's how we started building up our journey. And then now we are associated with multiple institutions abroad into multiple countries and ventures. That's why we always say we are not agents, we are parents. So whatever A, B, C, D of parents will make sure, so as their mentor and as their teacher, we make sure we provide them everything.
So, sir, I'll get to the question, the main question for today's podcast. Sir, after NEET UG, of course, this question is going to arise. The students who get government, they are going to set aside, but the students who do not get the good marks, they might have this question: should I enroll in a private college in India or should I go abroad? How will a 17 or an 18-year-old kid survive abroad? And is it a good idea to leave your own homeland to study abroad?
See, basically, I'll advise each and every student, is not mandatory that for you that you go abroad and study only. Finest education would always be India. We are considered as world leaders. Anywhere you go, any part of the world, you go to US, you go to Australia, you go to New Zealand, you will see Indian doctors as the leaders. So our education system here in India is finest, but it has got challenges, it has got limitations. The number of population what we are today compared to that, and number of seats availability is always a challenging factor. And there is also nothing wrong coming up with the new government regulations now. In past, what was the benefit is, if I study in my own country, the moment I complete my education and the moment I graduate, there was no separate examination to be given. Now coming in aligning with the World Federation of Medical Education new norms, which India also follows, regardless you study in India or you study in abroad, both the students have to be NEET qualified, and after completing their education, both has to be given the same examination known as national exit test. So basically now there is no much difference. And second important point, leaving the homeland and going abroad, there are always pros and there are always cons. You have to be away with your family, but at one moment parents needs to understand students that you need to teach them to fly on their own. Say for my kid, when his mother always are there, will be always taking care of his everything. He would never be on his own. So when you give them, the kid's goal and the vision matters the most. If he wants to be doctor, it's only the country in India we say that you need to have this much of marks, you need to have this much competency score, then only you can be doctor. You would agree with me, any part of the world you will go, even he has studied any stream, a kid says I want to be doctor, his parents will say or a teacher will say, you study biology and you can be a doctor. So to become a doctor, more than the score, more than the grade, or more than everything, his goal and his intention matters the most. And yes, if you are going to a country which is safe, which is good, or which has produced the quality doctors, which his examination passing results are excellent, he will not face any concern, regardless he goes to any university, any country of his choice. And it's not also mandatory he spends in millions, then only good education is possible. Many of my students who recently graduated have cleared USMLE examinations, have cleared PLAB examinations, even they are going to Germany. So wherever, whatever their destination is, and many are coming back in India. There are many senior most neurologists, I cannot say their name over the show, but who are practicing topmost are our graduates. Even they have overcome all the challenges and everything. So that's possible. If one believes that I want to do it and I want to be doctor, then yes, definitely it does not matter you are studying in India or you are studying in abroad. Your goal and your dedication and your dream and your desire to pursue it matters the most.
So do you think after the NEET scam, students are choosing to go abroad more than being in India? Do you think this gives an opportunity to the agencies and the foreign universities to exploit them? What is your opinion about that?
I can say it's true also, or it can be false also. See, many of the countries, especially I say European countries, are governed by the strict government norms, where the admission, all the policies, and all the controls are done by the government itself. It's not a private institution who is giving them a letter that, hey, I'm admitting you and you are admitting. No, it's a government order, the minister degree, which plays the important role. So I always advise student only go to the countries which gives you the minister order and the government is responsible for it. Medium can be anywhere. In India, you will have n number of agents and everything. There would be some here and there involved, but there are countries, there are people, I cannot say no, it's happening, they overcharge it, or they, after reaching there, they come to know, they said this here, it happened it, I was told that this much would be the fee structure, now this is changed. But mainly it's not the universities, it's the agencies and the consultancies who are involved that are doing. That's why you always advise all the students, never do a tri-party agreement where you are paying a third party institution and that third party is paying on your behalf. Always whatever everything is done straight has to be done with the university itself. So that plays an important role and they can avoid all these circumstances.
So that's a very good answer. I'll build on it only. So what do you think? What point should parents and kids, keep in their mind when they are thinking of taking admission in a university abroad? What are all the parameters they should know, how to keep their money safe, how to keep their admission safe, and how to actually get into an accredited university?
Basically, any student or any parent, these are the 5 points I can say they have to make sure. Select the university which is listed in World Health Organization, which has to be must. It's accredited by the council, whichever country they are going. Check their embassy's website, check our Indian embassy website, whether this country follows all the norms, whether this university is there in their white book, whether there are no issues reported for this university. Third, what is their passing result? All the senior students who have studied there, how well they have performed in India or how well they have performed in all other international examination. Fourth, the medium which I am going through, is they are present in the university itself, is the support system rock solid, anything tomorrow I need, the person whom I have trusted, are they present there? Fifth, for the safety, what kind of accommodation, whether I'm going inside a university accommodation or the accommodation which are accredited by the university, because for your first few years you need to make sure that you stay safe until you don't know the space and everything. So if you check always these 5 parameters, you will not face any problem. And easiest way I will tell to any parent, take a bank loan. Because if you don't check all the parameters, that bank will check every parameters. He will never pay an agent, he will never pay a consultancy, he will never pay a third party. He will make sure everything goes to the proper. So if you know, if you can follow, or if you are so good to check everything, or else for free of cost appoint the bank, they will do everything for you. So even you pay a minor cost, you can say you appointed a security for them. That's an easiest way to be safe.
That's actually a very good solution. If I just talk about bank loans, does the bank, support you throughout the education, or does they give you just a starting loan?
Now there are two factors involved in this. Mainly, they give you complete education loan. Complete whatever cost you require for your study and everything they give you. And if the accommodation is accredited by the university, or it's a university accommodation where university is taking the fees itself for the accommodation, then you can get complete funding for your accommodations and everything also. So it depends on which university you are going. So if you are staying in a third party non-accredited accommodation, or have you rented your own home, then bank will not give you. Bank will only pay to the institution accredited accommodation or to the institution itself. So complete funding to a student who wants to study abroad, he can get it from all the nationalized bank and all the private banking sectors.
So to help our students, what are the normal terms of an education loan for studying abroad?
Basically, the universities has to be accredited. It has to show in their list of the bank's accredited council. They have their internal audits and everything. Then they ask where was the student placed, what is the past history, what is a the students who went to this university actually passed the examination, and are they paying the money back on time? On those all parameters, on their, every bank has got a different audit system. Based on that, they approve the loans and everything. So some of the universities might be accredited by ABC Bank, some of them by DEF Bank, but more or less every reputed institution who has got a good passing ratio, there is no hesitations for them in getting the banking loan. And any company whom you will be trusting to process will provide you the set of 10 or 15 documents what bank would be asking: your ministry degree, what is your expense cost, which year you are going to study, which you are going to tentatively complete the course, when are you planning to pay back, or you have got the goals to complete the masters, then you will be saying that I want this 10 years to be this much extended. So complete based on that, all the banks are giving them the funds, and it's actually quite easy if it goes on a proper channel and if the proper documentations are done.
And what are the usual interest rates, payback time, and collateral that is required?
Mainly if we see the bank loans, the students gets the bank's loan very easily if they're all the documents and everything is at place, his parents documents are placed, taxation and everything is fine, and the students gets the funding from the first year itself. So basically there are two options given to the parent: either they can pay from the day one itself whatever amount they have taken. Let's say in your first year you were required around 5 to 7 lakh, so bank has given you those 5 to 7 lakhs, your parents can pay back the only interest amount, so it does not get compounded. Or they can pay the amounts everything at the later stage, or you have selected an option 2: my kid will study complete everything and he will pay in the payment terms after he graduates. But most of the parents will prefer that whatever money is taken and whatever interest component is there, so parents liability is only to pay the interest. So after his kid graduates, his responsibility is only to pay back the actual principal amount. It has not got compounded. Otherwise within 6 to 7 years what happens is, if you have taken 20 lakh rupees, it has become 40 lakh. So for a student who wanted to go study abroad to save the cost, to save the time, and he did not had funds and he opted for the bank loan, by the time he is graduating it has become the double. So ideally the first option for the parents is better: take the loan, but make sure you are supporting your kid by only paying the interest portion. So by the time he graduates and he repays the only principal amount in multiple installments.
And does education loan require collateral from the parents?
Yes, collateral almost, if you are taking more than 8 lakh rupees, as per the RBI norms, they do require the collateral. And some of the banks do give an exception that if your salary is excellent, if your taxation and everything is excellent, then they can omit the collateral also. But in 90% of the cases, they require the collateral. The reason being, what bank thinks is, what if the student is going as a long journey, if it does not, at least a security is needed.
So, boss, what do you think? What is your recommendation? A student who is basically taking a bank loan because he or she cannot afford the complete fees, should he take that bank loan or should they take a drop?
Basically, if you see a student whose dream, he wants to be doctor, he knows I'm going to be a good doctor, I'm going to clear everything on time, then paying back amount what he has taken is not, because in India anyways you are going to spend around 1 to 1.5 crores. Here you are not taking such a huge amount. I can say you are taking a bet on yourself that yes, I'm taking, I can do it. So if you are confident, there is nothing wrong. Anything today starts with the funding what he needs, and he's taking that funds to study and to make his career. So it's nothing wrong in taking the bank loan, but taking the drop and restarting and giving, when we were kid, even our parents used to change the birth dates in many cases to save a year of a kid. So only in the flow, the students, it's not wrong to take a drop also, it's absolutely correct. But if you are in the flow, you know, if you go to US many times, you given competitive examinations. If you have passed it, they lock your score for next 6 years. You have to accept that score and you move ahead. So what happens is the student knows it. I passed, I have to move ahead. If you have failed, okay, you have no option other than that. So moving ahead is always, I believe, because whatever it was supposed to be, you worked hard, you got it, accept it, now take it. Because it would be always when the grade 10 finishes, oh, I'm going to do my best in 12th. I'll change the history. 2 to 5% student does it, 95% are at the same. So even if in improvements you see 5% is the results coming output, rest all remains the same. Is better accept it, whoever you are, whatever hard work you did it and you have got the result, let's go ahead and move ahead.
Boss, I'll ask you a controversial question now. This question is very important for everybody who's going to choose studying abroad. The government of India, through its policies, look like they are very against foreign medical graduates. They put out, a lot of torturous policies every now and then. Policies which doesn't make sense at all. They want the FMGs to work for 3 years as an intern, as an unpaid intern, and they want the FMGs to accept it, which, of course, if you think is basically inhumane. So, what is your opinion about this? Even after learning all these things about the mindset of the government of India, should a NEET UG student still choose to study abroad?
Well, in recent years, I agree with you, it has been challenging. It was a not scenario always that this was happening. But in last 3 to 4 years, this has happened. The reason being there have been some kind of challenges where the students who were coming back due to Ukraine issue and the concerns, where this was never described in the policy, that what if a student has studied online? Because nobody ever thought it that education is going to be online, or the student have shifted to the another universities or the other countries as per whatever government told the compliance. Now the point came, they all came back. Now no manual says that what to be done. So whatever is decided at that point and whatever the knowledge and the ability of the officials, it went through and it happened. So this is the scenario, I completely agree with you, is happening with the students who are mainly affected during the COVID period of times. Policies which does not make sense, or the policies which are against them, working for 2 years. Even they were told that you have to work for 2 years, you have to work 3 years. Reason is you studied 2 years online, and we don't consider your education, whatever is delivered online, to be valid. So you need to work and you need to comply. So this all things happen with the students already who face the problems. They reface the problems because they had no option, they had no choice when there are nothing written. So yeah, this is happening. But now further going ahead, I believe, I should not say the people who did it or the people who were involved, is all changing now. Government is improving with his policies day by day. He's listening to the students, making correction. Recently, the new policy, new reforms came. It came more better in align with the interest of the students, uniform reforms and everything. So it's same like in past also, any new policy or any new changes comes in, there has to be a problems, there has to be concerns. But yeah, it's getting day by day resolved. But yeah, there is huge number of students who got affected. But now I believe further going is not the any more cases, because recently I can say the students who came this year who did not studied online, or their final internships were which were not online, they did not face any issue. Government simply allowed them, you give the exam, you have to do your 1 year internship and go ahead. Or there can be second things, this all students made so much of noise that government said, hey, now we should not do anything else to any other students. But now that has been resolved, thanks to all FMG pass outs who did this. They might not saved themselves, but yes, they saved all the students who are coming now.
That's good. I think the unity, the medical community came together to actually save the upcoming generation. That's a very good step taken by them. Boss, tell me, when an FMG goes there, while they're studying, there's racism, there is a language barrier, which of course, defeats the purpose of learning the subject. There is homesickness. How do you think a student should cope up with these things? And the second most important question is that, does racism actually happen in these countries?
Firstly, racism happens only where our students go, and it affects our mindset. But when they go there and when they see the culture and when they learn from there, as of now, as on date, wherever we have sent, as far as I have never experienced this thing with any of my student coming and telling that I faced this concerns, or I was bullied, or I was facing this concern. No, that has not been majorly reported. Or there can be two things, I have not sent the students, or I don't have the reviews of all the countries, but the students where my institutions has sent, or where students, we have never faced first problem of racism. Second most important, drugs. because that one of the thing where parents and like, oh, what if my kids is going away, what if he gets addicted and everything. These are some of the institutions who have got huge strict regulations. Say no to confidence with something. So absolutely there are no drugs or anything in the campus. And third thing, yeah, homesickness. There is nothing you can say better than your own home. There is no food better than what your mother serves you, and you are going to stay away from your parents. But now with the technology improving, the connectivity is improving. Let's take an example. If a student is just going to Georgia, you have got a direct flight from Delhi. Within 5 hours, you can reach there. He can come and meet you, or you can visit every 2 months, say, hi, how's your everything going? And so now advancing the technology is no longer the concern. And anyways, a student who is going for medical education, even in India, any place you are going, it's a bit going to be a far away. You have to learn to be stay away from the family. Or I can say it's the best time for you to learn to be yourself, do everything yourself, and you learn to be independent.
So can you share some success stories of students who have cleared FMG and are doing really well for themselves?
Yeah, there are many students.
In 2024, 79% of FMGs failed the FMG exam. Does this signal that the academic quality in the universities abroad is not up to that challenge? Do they have problem coming back and doing the actual medical work on ground in India?
I can say I can agree with you. 80% of the universities where students are going abroad are being marketed by the consultants or agents where they have got their huge interest involved. So what happens when they are going there? The university, if they does not take care, because what parents say, "Arey, my kid went there, I'm spending so much, make sure he does not fail, or make sure he's been given extra support." In this extra support system and everything, what at the end happens is that kid has done nothing in the next 5 years. When he comes back, he will join the institutions and everything here expecting some miracle or magic would happen, which does not happen because there is no one to tell them anything. So if you have selected an institution which is strict enough from the first year itself that each and every subject you have to score 50% marks. If you don't score, sorry, you are kicked out or we cannot help you anymore. So if the university parents selects which are strict itself, many times to save $1,000, parent would select a country or a university which does not care for them or who does not care for their academic well-being. The group of size of the students, the attention given by the universities. I'll give you an example of some of the universities where we are recruiting or where we are sending the students or which have brought in the result. They have made technology so much advanced. Parents knows today my son went to the university, this unit test happened, he scored this much of marks, this much is his performance, he's performing this way in the skills lab, this is his final results. At the end, how much care parents are taking is important. Parents say, my kid is studying in Europe. Everywhere their mothers will go and they say, oh, my son is studying in Europe. He's studying here. But his mother does not know what is my kid doing there. At the end, you are sending your son is equally important or daughter is equally important that sitting here also you have to monitor them. See, you are their caretakers. It's your responsibility equally. So there are universities who have to overcome all these challenges. They have made such a good parental apps and everything that parents sitting here in India knows everything what my son or kid is doing. So if you have sent to this university, you don't face any issue. Today, this year, our passing result came 64 to 65%, even with the students whom we accepted as Ukraine transfer students. So the university played the role, their parents played an important role, and especially those institutions must be having the Indian professor or team from India coming them to teach them. See, today, if I say I can prepare you for the USMLE here, I will get you the finest professor, you will say you are kidding me. The person who has already passed USMLE, what is he doing here? And why would he bother to teach me sitting here in India, USMLE, when he can earn in millions or crores there? So a teacher, if your goal for your son or daughter is to practice the profession in India, make sure the institution you are sending is on the board having the Indian professors or the doctors or a team of a professional institute visit them and prepares them. Now, the one question one parent asked me, sir, what did you did that your student got 65% and national passing result is so low? I told there is no magic. It's a team of our Indian doctors who came, who prepared them. We take care. We locked them for the 3 months. You have to study. You have to do this. You have to make sure you get 50% marks. I can say if the result is not coming, it's an institutional failure. Equal responsibility of child, university, and parents. If this 3P gets into action, then your kid will at least get 50% mark. And a kid who is not getting 50% mark, how you can say he will be a doctor, and how would patient trust him that the medicine is going to give me is worth it?
Very true. This talks about the theory part. I'm okay with it. But there's a huge question on the patient exposure in the universities abroad. I have learned from many students of mine that, in those universities abroad, lots of universities, I won't say all, there is no patient exposure. Hardly there is a patient, inbound patient coming into, there is no OPD or anything, and the academy, basically the institute, is working only on theoretics. Now, the real world, my father always says that एक डॉक्टर पेशेंट से ही सीख सकता है. डॉक्टर कैन ओनली लर्न ऑन अ पेशेंट. So if there is no patient exposure in these universities, how will a student actually become a good doctor?
I'll go by your saying. 10 times I know from page 1 to page 30 how to swim. Until I don't jump in the swimming pool, I don't know. Even though I can say, oh, I know everything, but you cannot swim. So same is with the medical profession. How good you are at theory, how good you are scoring, but how well you have done your hands-on clinical training matters the most. So yes, patient flow is less, or you can say population. How population, huge population we have into this our country, they don't have such a high population there. But there is a pro and there is a cons. Let's say you get an advantage, you get to exposure to the latest technology, latest AI devices, and they are so high at infrastructure. You learn on that. And there are n number of hospitals affiliated, especially the institutions where I am recommending and sending my students. If you see 2,500 plus patients flow is there, 5 massive hospitals and everything is there. So there are institutions which are having patients flows and everything. Now here comes the choice of the parents, that I decided to save $1,000 and I decided to spend on $1,000 more. So in case if he has selected a proper university, because a proper university cannot run without a proper hospital, and if a proper hospital is there, patient flow would be there. If I name one of the finest hospital or institution here who is teaching, if I give you a straight example of AIIMS, do AIIMS have any problem in the patient flow? No, they does not have. That's the reason it's a brand name. Another university example, let's say Georgian National University, SCU. It has got American hospital, a 450 crores massive infrastructure at the place. Huge patient flow is there. Patients, even foreign to huge patients coming from another countries also for their treatment. Here student will not have an problem. But if he goes to a smaller country or smaller institution who does not have investor or does not have the huge capacity in the hospital, of course he would be having the degree, but as I said you, he would be knowing how to swim, but he will not be knowing to actually swim. Same way he would be holding a degree, but he would not have done the clinicals.
Boss, can you give me a list of colleges, basically from 1 to 5, from the most affordable to the most expensive university, or let's start with country here. The most affordable country to the most expensive country. And give me a range of figure that how much does a student need to go into these kind of countries?
The 5 best or most affordable countries where FMGs are going, if you say it starts with Uzbekistan, somewhere fees is around 15 to 20 lakhs. His complete education gets finished to 25 to 30 lakhs in that country. Then it comes Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, fees is anywhere around 20 to 25 lakhs. His complete education gets finished within 30 to 35 lakhs. Then third comes, you can say, Russia. Russia fee structure starts with 20 lakhs, goes up to 30, 40 lakhs as per the institution. Education completely gets finished within 30 to 50 lakhs. Then another option is Georgia. Georgia, your college fees and everything somewhere would be around 20, goes up to 40 lakhs, depends on the institutions you select. Your complete education gets finished within 40 lakhs to 60 lakhs of budget. Topmost or the most affordable university you select. And the fifth options, you can say students are going to right now Bulgaria, where the fees and everything is around $8,000 to $10,000 a year. So fees come somewhere around 40-50 lakh rupees, and complete gets around 70 to 80 lakhs. So this Bulgaria, Czech Republic, and Slovenia, Slovakia, all those European countries, fee structure is almost same and comes into the same bracket. 40 to 50 lakhs of the fees and complete packages within 70 to 80 lakhs. But most of the students these days are selecting European countries because it gives them edge to do their masters. So even you are spending somewhere little bit more also on those brackets of fourth and fifth, you get an added advantage over them for their medicine or for their master purposes.
What do you think? What is your review about China? Because I think China have pros also, but a lots of cons also. And many students of ours, they want to take China because I don't know, multiple reasons. So can you share the pros and cons of doing MBBS in China?
MBBS in China, I can say the abroad, going medical education abroad or MBBS abroad, all started with China. He was the pioneer who started this. China and Russia were only the one who started this thing abroad. Huge number of students used to go to China, complete the education and everything. The biggest barrier was there, the language barrier. There were some of the institutions completely delivering in English, but later due to our bilateral relationships and their compliance towards us, almost after 2021, there is no major batch who has went to China, and even our government issued the advisories and everything. So there is no huge number anymore further going for to study in China. But yes, education and everything, it is good. They are latest in terms of technology. There are many institutions which you can say actually are very good in China also. The research facilities and everything is also very good and great. And there are some of the very average universities where their passing results are also not so good. So yes, it's a good side also and bad side also. But I believe wherever your government or our government supports, selects the country only and then go there. Always follow the advisories issued by the embassy.
So do you think it's a good idea to go to China? Just a yes or no will suffice.
As of now, no, because I don't think our governments likes us to go to China anymore. And there is no yes also from the government, and there is no also from the government. But as of now, I don't think you should go to China until government gives a clear signal.
Boss, can you list down the top 5 universities for FMG abroad, for MBBS abroad, with the best quality of education and the best infrastructure?
So if you say the student who's planning to do MBBS abroad, the 5 universities, you can say, let's say first goes with Russia, the Moscow State University. First Moscow State University is really very good. Then further it goes to Armenia. For Armenia, you can say Yerevan State University is very good. Then in Georgia, it's Tbilisi State Medical University and Georgian National University, CAU. Both State University and National University are really very good. Further going ahead, if he's going to Kyrgyzstan, then in Kyrgyzstan, Kyrgyz State University or Kyrgyz National University, this is really very good on his standards and passing standards and everything. Then in Kazakh, it's Kazakh State University or Kazakh State Medical University. These are the 5 universities which are equally very good. If you see all the results whenever it has come is always a state university or a national university which has actually got the passing result, and here the students' feedbacks are also overall very good.
All right, thank you, boss. Boss, we have talked about positives, a lot about these universities. Everybody knows the goody things. Tell me the cons, the problems these places have for our students. Let's go country-wise. Let's start with Russia. What problem does Russia have for Indian students?
Basically, all the students who are going to Russia, the education and everything is at par. We cannot say that they are less in terms of infrastructure, facilities, or utilities, but the biggest barrier is the language barrier. Then secondly, the resources, the accommodation and everything. Most of the hostels which are state own hostels and everything, they are not at par with the expectation. Most of the students, they reach there and they tell, sir, the accommodation and everything cost what we had planned, it goes x2 because we have to go and stay outside. Many times what happens is parents think that their budget and everything will fix in this. My consultant has called this, he has quoted me this five structure and everything, but the later when they reach there, they find out that anyhow for 1 year they can adjust, later they go out and stay. So they're mainly, the issue they face is the budget problem and everything. Otherwise, in terms of educations and everything, as I mentioned to you prior, it's all depends on the students' interest in everything. But this, all the universities are at par, not so good, not so bad. But if you are going to a top university, you will not have any problem. Rest all universities will give you the degree. Now hands-on clinicals and everything depends, but 80% of the universities, you can say, there they does not have such a huge flow of patients or such a huge good exposure. And the 20% which are elite have got excellent resources. So if you are studying there, you will not have any negative aspect. But here students are facing hands-on clinical training. Theoretically there does not come any question, is one and the same books and everything professor has taught, they have learned. But yes, students say, oh, I have not learned, I wanted to do hands-on clinicals, but those are not so good. So this is the biggest problem faced in Russia. And second is, after they complete their education and everything, they have to pass one examination in Russian. So now you have got good Russian friends and everything, and you have learned Russian, that's a separate thing. But at the end you have to pass a examination in the Russian language, which time will tell how well our students perform there in those examinations and everything. Going ahead further to the second best destination, you can say, or second where students are going, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyz. Okay.
Boss, negatives about Georgia.
If you say Georgia, the, you can say, the population, the population is not so high, so that there are many medical universities. If you see Georgia, 97%, 98% population is actual Orthodox Christian community. So they are all good at education. They have put up n number of medical universities, n number of resources. But the population flow, or you can say the patient flow in the hospital, is not so high what is actually needed. Or so many of the universities face this issue, or that students always complain, no, we don't get the huge patient flow and everything. So that is almost common with all the CIS countries, the terms of patient flow. Now there are good universities, let's say TSMU, Tbilisi State Medical University, there they have no patient problem. Or you can say one more, American Hospital, which is with Georgia National University, they have got fantastic flow, no issue at all. But then comes some of the universities which are associated or we are joined with the medical hospital, they don't have their own hospital in the campus, there was the problem lies in. And second, you can say delivery of education done by the professors. Many of the professors are not proficient in English, or their English is not so much good what their students and kids expect. So at that time it plays a very important problem or a concern for the student, because he is going to the university, it has been told from India it would be in English, it's in English. But the English what they are talking is, let's say when you ask me, or if I have learned English as an externally and I am teaching you, I might not be so much proficient and not so much fluent, because in my brain firstly it's coming in the natural language, and then I'm translating and teaching. With a student studying can easily fail, or my teacher is itself not delivering. So these issues persist in many of the universities there also.
Negatives about Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan.
Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, firstly, issue is the infrastructure. Not all the universities there are well versed. Some of the university students say that we sit in the hostel, we don't need to go at all, only we go to give the exams. And some of the universities are really also very, very good. So what I'm mentioning does not apply to each and every university. But yes, there are universities, you can say they make them doctors, they give them degrees. But if you see, these are the countries where most of the students, you will find them huge numbers going in, but their passing results of 60 to 70% of the universities are not so good. The reason being drawback is the quality of education delivered, and the professors mainly now if you see here, professors are being sent from India. There are thousands of numbers of teachers. Now they say we have to bring in the professors from India itself. One Indian professor is teaching at the 4 universities there. So these are the challenges what students have reported, and they are actually facing it. And the students who are studying in elite, the universities which I named state, they are not having any concern. But this all other minor universities are facing a huge shortage of doctors there itself.
At the end, every FMG has to come and give an FMG exam in India.
Correct.
So does any university, apart from the private coaching institutes, does any university in itself provide any coaching regime or mentorship to the students so that they have that kind of mindset, they build that kind of mindset that they can crack FMG exam on the very first go?
Now they have started. Universities have learned, or there is a one internal news going on that Indian government in the coming few years, they are going to give the license or only allow the medical universities to operate whose passing result is more than 50%.
50%.
50%. If your student, even its same is going to be applied in India, is yet internal, is yet on the draft, is yet to be finalized. But if any university is having more than 50% of the student passing his exams, then only they would be allowed to increment their quota or have the huge number of students on the next year. So based on this, now every universities, even abroad, whoever are major, are making sure before their kid is going back to India, they train them and they prepare them. India's many topmost institutions also, who are leaders in preparing them this examination. If I can say someone sitting in the Georgia and can prepare them from USMLE, I would be lying it. You need a professional. So same way, if I say that someone sitting in the university abroad and those faculties would be able to prepare them, or are they capable of preparing them to compete in Indian examinations? No. You need the team who has to go from India and who can teach them and who can lead them. So most of the universities are now opting the top institutions from India to be their joint partner and make sure these kids, by the time they graduate, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months before the giving examination, that they are well prepared there also, and after they come here in India also, then only results can be obtained. So here our Indian doctors plays the most important role.
True, very true. Boss, during the Ukraine war, we saw that many students had their academics interrupted. I won't just say interrupted, it was a very traumatizing affair for everyone. They had to fly back, Indian government did not provide any kind of support, and there were many issues. Today, what student should keep in their minds regarding as a contingency, that what if something, there's a political turbulence in an outside country, what steps should student keep in their minds, what can happen and how they should, not suffer from those kind of political turbulence?
Basically, if the students selects the country where they are going, who has got good relationship with India, firstly, though there was turbulence in Ukraine, I agree at the start, students face a huge issue and everything. They went to Supreme Court, then Supreme Court came with a solution. They gave them the mobility option, they gave them the transfer options and everything, but all came at the later stage. When they panicked, they shouted, hey, this is a problem, we have not created it, we are affected due to this, and then this all thing happened. Government, they had to went to the courts, it took the time, and then it came decisions in their favor. So in the future, if anything happens, now you can say our government has already learned. If this kind of scenario happens, what is the solution? Give them the mobility or the option and select the universities you are allowed to transfer, because by law, as on today, you are not allowed to transfer the university. You have to complete the education in the same university or the same country. Indian government does not allow you to do that. But now in this kind of situation, there is policy at the place from the Supreme Court which says that you are allowed to following institutions. You can go there and complete your education under the mobility terms and everything. And your actual confirming degree would be the same institution. So we have now all the policies and things at the place. But yes, all thanks to these FMGs, especially of the Ukraine, who made the noise so loud and they went and everything and they did the thing. So I believe in future, if any kind of the situation arises, then the easiest solution is the mobility what the government has came up with, and that's the only solution.
Boss, what is your opinion about the FMG exam? Why does a foreign medical graduate need to give an exam to prove that they have learnt medical systems from their own universities? When the government is the one who has given the foreign university a license and accreditation to teach these students. Basically, the government, why I say that there is a step motherly treatment is because when the government has given a license to an Indian institute and to a foreign institute, why does only the foreign institute needs to prove that okay, our education is actually worth it? Why not put a FMG exam for the Indian graduates also, and why not just basically remove the FMG examination and let FMGs come and directly work in our country? What is your opinion about this?
On this point, I can mention, Dr. Nachiket sir, that the government plays an important role here. Either government should say that we will give licenses or we will audit XYZ universities abroad. These are valid. These are on my parameters. Whatever is requirement, whatever is course compliance is there. These universities have done it, and I maintain a list that these are the only universities which are accredited where an Indian student should go and study. This meets the compliance. Let it be 5 universities, 10 universities, 15 universities. Make a list and make it. And then once these kids are coming back, remove the examination. See, today our Indian student studies in India, they don't need to prove, because you know that these institutions in India are well monitored. Oh, the students are very, very good. And students going to abroad, there is no assorting or there is no list you given by the government itself. A student does the selection based on his choice. I'm going there. Oh, you said this criteria is there met, and at last he's coming back. Then government is telling them, oh, you have to prove it that you know it. Or you can make it simple, or make now what you are thinking to bring in national exit test, make it common for all. There has to not to be the two rules, that if I'm studying in India, I don't have to give any examination. I'm going abroad, you have to give the examination. Or if I'm studying India, same rule. I'm studying abroad, same rule. Then this makes the sense. So the what thing government has to do now, a student has to do. A 17-year or an 18-year student is checking whether this university is complied, whether it meets World Federation of Medical Education norms, whether it meets WHO norms, whether the syllabus is aligned. Government has told you have to make sure the syllabus are aligned, whether you are getting registration, whether you are getting license to practice. This all a 17 or 18 years kid cannot do it. Or you can simply put the names of the countries and universities. These are only accredited. You have to go there, finish, full stop. What other countries do it? Then it simplifies the process.
Very true. I think the government needs to create an umbrella where FMGs is equal to an IMG and they are both following the same curriculum, the same pattern, the same testing methods. There should not be any more step brotherly treatment, and only then the whole medical community can come together. So, boss, the last question of our podcast today is very simple. Share 5 countries which you think are upcoming and will have a great infrastructure for MBBS abroad in next 5 to 10 years.
Right now, if you say upcoming, the students, which we see the new trend also is going towards the Bulgaria. Students loves to go there. Slowly reviews have started coming good. Students are going to Czech Republic. Then the craze for Poland is increasing, because all these students are viewing the options more or less either to settle in UK or do the masters there. So towards the European side, the trend is going on a high scale, and these 3 countries are now graphs is going up.
All right, Dr. Chirag, thank you so much for being a part of the Nachiket Bhatia show. I mean, you have explained the whole MBBS abroad system, the colleges very nicely. And I must say, I think every student who is going to watch this podcast will have his or her queries answered to the core. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nachiket sir. It was a pleasure to be with you here, and I wish you all the best and more and more and more success. And I really appreciate the things what you are doing for all the medical communities, bringing in all the doctors and providing them the correct information and the resources what all doctors or all the medical professionals needs to know. All the best, and wish you more and more success.
Thank you so much, boss.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for watching today's podcast. I believe the core literacy regarding MBBS abroad, regarding the misconceptions about how students go abroad, how their lives turn out to be, I think we have answered everything. And that was the sole purpose of today's episode. Thank you so much for being a part of the Nachiket Bhatia show. Who do you want the next guest to be? Please put it in the comment section. And before you exit, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much, and God bless you.